Warning, the following video may contain adult language and themes. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. If you have the problem with this, please stop playing the video now. I just got done watching a movie called The Retreat, or just Retreat. It was released in 2011. It's rated R. It's 90 minutes long, and it currently has a 5.8 on Internet Movie Database. Now, I wouldn't really call this a horror movie per se. It's categorized as a thriller under Internet Movie Database, which is probably more appropriate. So I guess it's probably more of a thriller. If you go into this movie expecting a horror movie, you're probably going to be disappointed. And as a horror, if you're expecting a horror movie, it is pretty bad as a horror movie. But as a thriller, mystery type deal, it's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty good. The synopsis, spoiler-free synopsis, is that Cillian Murphy and his wife, I believe it's his wife, who's played by Thandie Newton. I recognize that name. I definitely recognize Cillian Murphy's name. He's most famous, in my opinion, for playing the Scarecrow in Batman Begins. That's what I know him the best as. But they go out to this island. They go to this retreat, to this British island. I think it's Britain, and to this cottage where they're completely isolated, just to get away and to run away. Like they're dealing with like a personal tragedy. I think it had something to do with a baby. Like she had a baby or something. I didn't catch it. Like the accents were really hard to understand, even though they were English. They were very heavily British accents, and the audio quality on the copy that I got was pretty crappy, so I may not have picked up everything, but that's my understanding. That's a synopsis. They are retreating to this cottage on this deserted island. Somebody, I think, drove them out there on a boat or something, and they're just gonna hang out there for the weekend or something. While they're there, they discover a body of a man who's stumbling ashore, and he's kind of bloodied, and he's kind of dressed in military garb, and they take him into the house, and he's unconscious. And they notice he has a gun, so Cillian Murphy takes his gun away and hides it because they don't know who this guy is. So he's unconscious on their sofa, and eventually the man wakes up, and he says, "We have to board all the windows, doors. There's an epidemic, and it's airborne, and we need to seal off every opening in this house so we don't catch this unstoppable disease." And he's like, "And you guys aren't going anywhere. You have to stay in this house, and we have to keep everybody out because they're probably infected." That's the synopsis. And Thandie Newton and Cillian Murphy, I don't know their character names because, again, I either wasn't paying attention or couldn't understand. But they're not sure whether to believe this guy or not. They don't know if he's crazy or if he's actually legit. The guy says he's military, and that the reason why Cillian Murphy and Thandie Newton have not been able to contact anybody on their CB, they have a CB on the island, is because everybody's in lockdown. So that's the synopsis, and they don't know whether to trust this guy or not. And it's more of a battle, a psychological battle between Cillian Murphy and Thandie Newton and this guy, on whether they can trust him or not, and if he's a psycho guy, if he's just psychotic, or if he's actually telling the truth. So it's more of a psychological thriller, if anything. And for that, it's not that bad. I guess if I'd have to give it a score out of 10 before I get into spoilers here, I'd probably, judging by how satisfied I was, probably a 6.7 on its own terms. Probably not judging it as a horror movie, because obviously it isn't. So yeah, I'd probably give it a 6.7 out of 10. It's pretty well acted. There is a lot of mystery and suspense in the movie. There's not a lot of gore or violence, although this is rated R. I think there were a few gunshot wounds. But nothing major. I don't remember any nudity or any gratuitous gore. But yeah, I think I'll give it 6.7 out of 10. It did keep my attention. I don't feel like I wasted my time. But I thought that, okay, so 6.7 out of 10. I'm probably going to get into spoilers here now, but I thought that the writing was pretty bad at times, because I'm getting into spoilers now. Basically, they don't know whether to trust him or not, and one night when the soldier guy hears somebody outside, he's like, "Oh, somebody's coming. They could be infected." And Cillian Murphy, who's kind of an idiot here, he runs and gets the guy's gun and gives it back to him. So it's like, oh man, really? Would you do that? Would you give it back to him if you're so unsure whether this guy's marbles or his lost his marbles or not? But he does that, and so then the guy becomes in charge now because he has a gun, and the guy, as it turns out, Cillian Murphy, like, the guy gets weirder and weirder and starts acting more psychotic and starts, like hitting on Cillian Murphy's wife, and eventually he like ends up locking them in like this one room so they can't get out, because eventually they want to leave, and then he's like, "No, you ain't leaving," and he locks them in a room. And Cillian Murphy actually gets away through like a skylight or something, and goes and gets a shotgun that was in the barn and brings it back. So now they have a gun, and eventually, um, so Murphy's actually gone outside at this point, and he goes down to the dock and he sees the two people who drove them over on their boat, and they're dead and they've been shot in the head. So he's like, "Oh, this guy must just be psychotic, He must have just killed these people, and he must be delusional. He must be fucking with us, and there's no epidemic." So he goes back to the house with the shotgun. I maybe get. It's been a while since I saw it, so I waited too long probably. So I may get some of this wrong, but bear with me. So he goes back to the house, and eventually they get the gun away from the guy, and they hold him at gunpoint, and then Cillian Murphy starts coughing up blood, and so then you're like, "Oh, well, the soldier was telling the truth," and then it turns out at the end that he was kind of, because there's not really an epidemic. It's only the soldier that's infected. And so basically, the military was experimenting on this guy, and they infected him with the disease and like let him loose or something. And so, what he was trying to do was keep the infection inside the house. He wasn't trying to keep people out because he didn't want to hurt anybody else. See, Cillian Murphy and his wife had already took him into their house unconscious when he was unconscious, so they were already infected. So he was like, "Well, I can at least contain this," and so. There's a very touching moment where Thandie Newton actually has to kill Cillian Murphy because he's coughing up blood and he's actually so far gone. In the end, she hears on the CB that the military are saying, "Warning: do not approach this guy, because he's infected, and if you do, call us and we'll come there. We have a cure." And so, and then the soldiers guy's just like, "This is bullshit. No, they don't have a cure. They'll come here and they'll kill you." And then because there is no cure, and then Thandie Newton's just like, "Oh, fuck this guy," and so she just shoots him, finally just shoots him, and then she's dragging Cillian Murphy's body down to by the boat, and then she gets shot by the military. So very depressing movie. Very just depressing. The script is just not a happy one. Thandie Newton and Cillian Murphy in this movie kind of reminded me of 28 Days Later. I can't remember who was in 28 Days Later with Cillian Murphy, but I believe it was another girl, sort of like Thandie Newton. And but yeah, I thought this movie was pretty good. The script was a little too, I don't know, it seemed a little too hammy at times, but I thought the movie was pretty decent. You could do a lot worse. Yeah, I'd say 6.7 out of 10. The acting was pretty good. The writing probably could have been improved a little. But yeah, just don't go in expecting a horror movie. Go in expecting a drama thriller. But anyway, okay, so that's my review of The Retreat, released in 2011. I don't know if this is a British movie or not. It probably is, but it's directed by Carl Tibbets. Anyway, so 6.7 out of 10. Take it easy.